Awa was not just an old blind woman sitting in front of her hut. Those who passed by saw a fragile grandmother, her whitish eyes turned toward the sky, her wrinkled hands clutching an empty gourd. But behind that motionless face lay a truth even the elders feared to whisper. Her blindness was not natural. It was the mark of a pact no mortal should ever have made. When she was young, Awa was not this silent figure. She was beautiful, catching glances in the marketplace, but her stomach screamed with hunger. Her worn clothes clung to her thin body. Her father had died of illness. Her mother spent her days begging neighbors for a handful of millet. Each night, as she listened to her little brothers cry from hunger, Awa swore she would never end up like them. She craved more food, more respect, more power. One night, when the moon was full and the village asleep, she made a decision that would seal her fate. Barefoot, she left the family hut and ventured into the forest, her heart pounding at every snapping branch. She walked until she reached the sacred river, a place even hunters avoided after dark. The black water seemed alive, reflecting the moon like a giant eye. Awa knelt at the water's edge, her trembling lips whispering forbidden names her mother had warned her never to speak. The silence grew so heavy that even the frogs stopped croaking. Then the water churned. A freezing mist rose, wrapping around the young woman. A voice echoed, deep and countless, as if 1,000 mouths spoke at once. "What do you desire, child of men?" Awa's body shook, but her mouth dared to answer. "I want wealth. I want power. I want my children to never know hunger." A dark, icy laugh cut through the mist. The voice replied, "You will have what you ask, but in return you will never see their faces. Your eyes will be ours." Agonizing pain exploded in her skull. She screamed, her hands covering her face as fire devoured her pupils. When she opened her eyes, everything was white. The light was gone, but in her hand she clutched a handful of shining cowries. From that day, her fortune changed. Her fields flourished, her granaries overflowed. Men sought her out, not for her beauty, but for the strange prosperity that surrounded her. Awa had won, but she had also lost more than she could ever imagine. Block 2. The invisible weight of the Pact. Years passed, and Awa, though blind, became one of the most respected women in the village. Her children grew up in abundance, dressed in fine cloth, fed with rare meats. Neighbors envied her. Some admired her, others feared her. They said she could predict the future, that her empty gaze saw farther than the eyes of the living. But beneath her prosperity, Awa bore a burden. Each night, while the village slept, the voices returned. They whispered in her hut, cold as the wind crossing the graves. They demanded offerings, a black chicken, a calabash of blood, sometimes a vow spoken by her own children. Awa obeyed, trembling but submissive. She knew the spirits never forget, and every refusal carried a price. One night, tragedy struck. Her favorite grandson, Malik, fell ill. His skin burned with fever, his lips cracked, his eyes rolled back. Healers came and went, baffled. Their brews failed, prayers had no effect. But Awa knew. In her gut, she felt the truth. The spirits wanted Malik. For days she fought within herself. She sat for hours beside the child, stroking his damp hair, listening to his laboured breathing. She whispered, "Forgive me, little one. What I accepted has come for me." But the voices grew louder. They screamed in her head, demanding their due. One night, unable to resist, Awa took a calabash. She made a small cut on the boy and gathered a few drops of his blood. Trembling, she walked alone to the river. The water rose like a living creature, and the voices thundered, "Give him to us, and we will prolong your bloodline." Awa's knees buckled. Tears streamed down her hollow cheeks. But she knew that refusal would doom all her children. So, with a broken heart, she let the calabash slip into the water. Before dawn, Malik stopped breathing. The village buried the boy in tears. But Awa sat motionless, her white eyes staring into nothingness. Her son, Malik's father, looked at her with hatred. Deep down, he knew his mother carried a terrible secret. Block 3, the eternal curse. Malik's death did not appease the spirits. On the contrary, it opened a wound. Other children fell ill. Others died mysteriously. In every generation, Awa's bloodline paid a price. Always, one child was taken, as if to settle a debt that could never be cleared. And yet, despite these tragedies, Awa's family remained prosperous. Their fields never suffered drought, their homes stood strong, their harvests abundant. But behind this facade of success, a shadow lingered. The village began to whisper. Why did this family always thrive more than others? Why did our, blind for so long, walk at night without ever stumbling? Some claimed they saw her heading alone to the river without a staff, guided by an unseen force. Others swore they heard her speaking in her hut to voices no one else could hear. The bravest said they had glimpsed in her white eyes a shifting glow, an alien light. But Awa never defended herself. She only repeated to her surviving grandchildren, "Life is a marketplace. Nothing is given freely. Remember this." When she died, many hoped the curse would end. But the elders say it did not. Even today, in every generation, a child falls mysteriously ill. Always, one life is swallowed by the river. And some nights, by the water's edge, people swear they see a figure sitting, white eyes staring at the horizon, waiting for the next heir. So remember this. Some pacts never die. The spirits never return what they take. They pass the debt on, generation after generation. And if one day you meet an old blind woman smiling in silence, look away. For behind her empty eyes may lie the price of a bargain you would never dare to pay.